Today I'm interviewing an amazing expert on astral projection, Robert Bruce. How are you doing, Robert Bruce?
I'm good, thanks.
Thank. Can you introduce to the audience who you are, please?
My name is Robert Bruce, and I'm the author of several books on astral projection, energy work, um, practical psychic self-defense, and other things of that nature.
Yes, thank you. Um, Astral projection is like one of my favorite, if not all time. It's how amazing that our body can do these type of things. Can you tell the history of how did you like get started into astral projections?
When I was 4 years old, I how do I say this? I'd had a series of events. Now, just to qualify that, many years ago, I undertook a practice. It took a couple of years to recover my early memories. And I've pushed my memories back to even before I entered my mother's womb. So I've got very good recall of certain events like this. As I say, I was probably 4.5 years of age, and I I started getting these episodes of paralysis and vibration, which is like a buzzing from head to foot, a very uncomfortable sensation this was. And then one night I had one of these episodes, and there was always an intense light coming from above my right shoulder. And one night, I know now, that I actually turned without physically moving inside of my skin in my etheric body. And I managed to turn my body around and look at the source of this light. And what I saw there was a large insectoid type ET. And this looked a lot like a human-sized praying mantis sitting there. And there was a ball of light beside it, about the size of a basketball, that was glowing and pulsing with this creamy light. And I looked at this, I'm just a little lad, gobsmacked, and more than a little bit frightened. And the ET, big triangular head with big eyes, looked at me, noticed that I was looking at it, reached out and tweaked the light, and boom, I'm out like a light. Now, shortly after that, probably I think it was like the next night or the next week, I got into bed and I started to buzz, but this time a fairly comfortable buzz, not a normal vibration, and I just buzzed out of my body and float and astral projected into what I coined the term the real time zone, which is like being a ghost in the real world. And that started it. I mean, my first night out, I think I floated through my house, feet first, as if I was in bed. And it was like my whole bed was going with me. There was a 2-story house, and we went, through the upper part and down the stairs. And then I was back in my body. And this happened a few times the first night. And it happened the next night, and then every night for many, many years. This was happening multiple times a night. And in that time, because I'd never been exposed to any information about astral projection, I didn't even know the term. And when I tried to tell my mother, as mothers do with young lads like me, they kind of pat you on the head and say, "Good boy, have another biscuit." They feed you. So, yeah, because you don't have the words to explain it. And so they smile at you and just pat you on the head and feed you again, you know. And I got really fat. I was inquisitive, and but yeah, and during that time, after a while of doing that, I learned to really enjoy it, because I mean, who wouldn't like to enjoy being able to walk through walls and fly like Superman, and you know, all those really cool things. And with no instruction, I had to teach myself how to get around, how to move voluntarily, and how to fly. That was a big one. And just all the other things you could do with it. And this continued, and I learned to actually induce it even back then, but it was so fluid and easy to do. I would just have to lay in bed and, you know, think about the night before when I'd floated out of my body, and I should look up at the corner of the room, and think about floating up there. As many, many times I'd find myself floating in the room, or I'd float out and I'd be like a balloon floating around the ceiling, and I'd sort of crawl upside down through the house. I've no idea why. And but just thinking about being out of body would start to induce the vibrations, and I'd come straight out. And this continued probably until I was about 12, 15, I think it was. And then it eased away. I still dreamed a lot and other things than that, but I didn't rediscover astral projection until I was about 21, thanks to my mother. And I became a real bookworm, and my mother had a lot of books, and one of the books she had was a collection of books by T. Lobsang Rampa, who was an early writer on metaphysics and astral projection and things like that. And other books she had about astral projection, early ones by Muldoon and Carrington, and I'm sure you've come across those. They were written like 100 years ago. And I started reading those, and I knew I could do it, because I'd had thousands of astral projections. But I discovered then that learning how to do it manually, to actually like sit down or lay down and put yourself in a state to induce astral projection, was a whole new ball game. And it took me probably about 3 months because I had to teach myself how to achieve an altered state, you know, deep physical, mental relaxation, and also, you know, everything you need to know. That was the hardest thing, getting to hold a stable, altered state, deeply relaxed state. And then using simple techniques like rolling out of your body type thing. I managed to induce my first astral projection. Well, first manually induced astral projection. And as an adult, I found the first couple of astral projections I had, the exit out of body sensations were extreme. They felt life-threatening. I mean, they were absolutely major. If you can imagine, it's like being strapped to an industrial concrete vibrator. The buzzing was so strong. My heart was doing like 500 beats a minute, and it felt like it was going to explode. I had this continual falling sensation, and it felt like I thought I was dying. But I had this little bit of belief about the stuff I've been reading about it, saying, no, this is supposed to happen. I didn't know it would be this strong, but I'd been told about some of these things before. So I persevered and kept my cool, and then I buzzed out of my body. And once I got to that bit, of course, as soon as I started to leave my body, all the really heavy exit sensations stopped. And I just buzzed out of my body. And from that moment on, I knew what to do, because I'd had a lot of experience with it. But the first couple of times I did it, they were very intense, but then my energy body adapted to what I was doing as an adult. There must be a difference between astral projecting as a child, which seemed a lot easier, than as an adult. Maybe it puts a lot more barriers in the way.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you when you had, it's because I had the similar experience as you when I was a kid, but it's more, I would say, intense and more scary. But at that time, I didn't know it was astral projection, right? People, all the world have like weird terms, or they think it wouldn't be astral projections, right? So
Well, you tell most parents, and they'll think immediately demonic possession or something like that, and they call in a priest, or they forbid you to leave your body, or something. They overreact generally because they can't connect with it, and it scares them. It's understandable.
yeah, so I remember I know now it's actually astral projection, but it's almost a similar experience as you. I would be sleeping on a couch, right? And it would be facing a kind of like a huge window, right? And I woke up. I thought I woke up, but I tried to scream for my mom. I couldn't. I thought I yelled, but I couldn't like I hear, and I tried to move my body. I couldn't move my body. So I was like, I thought, what was going on, right? Because usually it's the same thing. Like when you start to astral project, you hear noises, and I thought I was going crazy, right? Usually
Hmm.
when I'm into, like, let's say I'm really sleepy and I go to this like really deep sleep or whatever, tired, I can hear noises, right? So I would look up around and I saw this thing, right? It's a bloody skull, and I was so scared, so I try to close my eye.
A
So I closed,
skull.
and it woke, and it touched me and said, "Wake up, wake up." And so I was so scared. I closed my eye again and said, wake up," until something weird happened, right? And I somehow, you could say, astral project out of my body. I could see, right? I astral project out of my body, and I elbow the bloody skull. And after that, I woke up. That
Hmm.
was that was scary, but I know now that was astral projection. And one
Yeah,
example.
it was. But if you look into that, I like to analyze things like that to see what's happening there. And it's important to know because people who are listening to this could get the impression. I mean, you were you had a bloodied skull in your room, a very scary item that's like animated and waking you up. But that would be a manifest. This is like a program built into the universe. And when our energies and intentions reach a certain level, we activate those programs. And that sort of a program, there was a program in the collective which is designed to help us astral project. And that will often manifest as scary things because fear inducing items like a bloody skull make a very powerful memory. It's like fear creates a strong memory. Whereas if you've read my work on the mind split effect and the difficulties with um, astral projection, a lot of that is comes down to inducing. Sorry, I was just interrupted. A lot of that comes down to the fear by design, creating a powerful memory in you so you won't forget it. Because without the fear involved, if you had just a nice little astral projection, it would be very unlikely you would remember it. And it threw me. But there's various other programs you'll encounter as well, various initiation type tests and programs, and that which will be activated through your actions, intentions, and particularly your energies. So the fear-inducing one is extremely common. People have these very scary experiences. I know my mother, for example, she astral projected, and she told me during the first couple of astral projections she learned, and she was my mother, so she would have been in probably 50 at this time, and she would see these little demons that they're like little gargoyles, and there was like a dozen of them in a dozen of them in a bedroom, like big chimpanzees with leering faces. And as she walked around, they would like claw at her and go, yeah, yeah, you know. They didn't actually attack her or anything, but they were scary and they go, boo, you know. And a bit of research, and she persevered through that, and and it got better. And she trusted her instincts, and she just ignored them and like flew off up out of the house. And she only saw them a couple of times. But that's a very common sighting. They've been called various things in literature, like astral elementals and things like that. But I know now from intensely studying this phenomena for like 60 years, but these are actually programs for various purposes, and they're designed to, like that particular, anything scary like that, the trick to pass that test is to confront it, which is what you did when you got out and elbowed it. You confronted it. That's how you pass the test. You either confront it or you turn around, walk away and ignore it. But either way, you get the tick, you pass that one, and then you go on. Did you have many astral projections after that?
Well, so I try after that experience when I was a child, is maybe around like I forgot how old, maybe 8 or 9. After that experience, I got so scared, so I tried like to not hear, because basically if I hear, because I know that if I hear the noise or a buzzing noise, I know that either like I don't know. I thought at that time evil spirits or whatever would come, um, or something would happen, because once I fall asleep, it goes zzz, right, and if it come, I would be paralyzed. But I know now that's after, but
Well,
during
the paralysis is being awake paralysis. It means that you have an astral projection in progress. And because of the mind split effect, that when you have an astral projection, a copy of your mind leaves your body. Your original you never leaves your physical body. So when you have an astral projection in progress, which takes a lot of your energy with it, your consciousness energy, it leaves your physical body, mind paralyzed, and you can be awake, which accounts for all the experiences people have of paralysis because they're having astral projections. But at the end of that time period, they are only remembering the memory from their physical body mind, which is a paralyzed physical body, which can be terrifying if you don't know what's causing it.
yeah. May I ask what you're drinking there?
It's my favorite Darjeeling tea.
Oh, you like tea, eh? Oh
Yeah,
wow. What's
Darjeeling tea. Well, yeah, tea bag. It's wonderful. It really is. I love it. Yeah. And
what type of
well,
tea? Like,
my wife
I know
is
this is
giving up
tough.
coffee at the moment. I also love coffee, but you know, I like organic black coffee, and I don't have dairy. But my wife has given up coffee at the moment, so I'm just having tea because I'm too lazy to make a pot of coffee.
Yeah. Um. Oh, you asked what other astral projection I experienced. Well, during 2013 or around, yeah, at that time I was spiritually awakened, because I always tell the story where I spiritually awakened that you know we live in this weird, I mean not weird universe, but creative universe, right? And I found out that I call it the shattered glass, because I went through the dark night of the soul. And at that time I would go transition, and I noticed that uh, something weird has happened to me, or in effect that if we can control our mind, right? If we can change like an image or like a mood, the universe will like correspond to that, right? And I would, because I listened to one of your video, you were talking about the law of attraction. That's how I discovered the law of attraction. But most often not, I think because I'm on a mission, I want to change the way that the law of attraction people think about attracting things into their life, right?
Yeah,
Um,
I agree. If you imprint the principle of what you're saying, yeah.
Yeah, and so because usually when I, um, you know, I was taught by a therapist, self-fulfilling prophecy. Whatever you change, whatever you believe to be true, it will come true to the future, right? So I would believe and trust the process. Things would happen for me, like good things, right? And I would see like coincidence would happen, right? And we can cause things to happen for us. But so often not. I found out I was reading. I don't know if you read these type of books, but the Science of Getting Rich and the
Yep.
Dynamic Catherine Ponder. I noticed a connection. Because I reread it to do because I do book reviews, and I noticed it said you have to take personal action or some type of action. And usually when I take the action, things just come, right? And that's why I try to get people to go take action, because people like wait for things to happen. I mean, uh anyway, I remember I was trying to explore my psychic abilities, or at that time I tried to, because I noticed weird things are happening to me. I was trying, read my aura, because I listened. You were talking about auras. I would see. I remember one time I was sleeping, and my best friend would come to get me, and I saw an alien head, but I didn't know what it was. So we at that time we were going on a trip for Six Flags. So we went to Six Flags, and I saw a alien. It was a ride, and I saw an alien head, and I was like, "What's going on?" But anyway, I listened to these videos or like audio on YouTube, and you were talking about try to do like auto add of body experience, or roll out of your body. I
Mhm.
tried that. It didn't work. I don't know how, because I got scared or something. But I remember one time, one amazing experience I had. I wanted to do it again. That's all I want to know. That's so I was on my bed, right, and then I would fall deep asleep, and I fall out because at that time I want to astral project. So I astral project out of my body, and I was floating. It was incredible, like feeling ever. It was like I was flying, right? And I saw my body. I was like, "Whoa, is this astral projection? Holy crap!" So I would like float to the bathroom and the mirrors, and I would
Who
walk
needs
down,
drugs?
and I would I would walk down. I would walk down to the stairs, but then that's it. It would stop. Like that's why I wanted to like do more, but I couldn't do more after that.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Persevere. Yeah, fear of astral projection and the unknown is probably the biggest killer. And this fear comes just from the unfamiliarity of the environment, because we don't know enough about it. We feel insecure, and we feel afraid of the unknown, which is human nature. Um, we have a big instinct inside to be afraid of the unknown, because we don't know if that unknown could kill us or something like that. It's only familiarity. By researching it, reading about it, talking to people like me that have been there before, you find you will gain more confidence and the fear will diminish. The one fear that takes the longest is the fear of death, because leaving the physical body in an astral projection while you are awake, a conscious astral projection, is different to a spontaneous one where you're asleep and your astral body comes out and then it kind of wakes up when you're already out of body. That's a big difference, because the sensation of leaving the physical body is identical to the death process, and you have a very strong, the strongest instinctive fear of death. So to your mind, your whole mind, your subconscious mind, your spirit, when you start to astral project out of body, it's like dying. No, don't leave the body, stay alive. We fight to stay alive. And this takes some practice for most people to get over that thing. I've studied the afterlife for decades as well, and I visit the afterlife, and this is this is where it's at, because when the physical body dies, the astral body is your spirit body. It is your soul, whatever you want to call it. That's the enduring part of you. The physical body is only temporary.
Okay, thank you so much for that. Oh, and I wanted to ask you this because it was on my mind. Why is it that we can astral project out of body? And let me see. Let me see. Why is there such thing as a astral projection?
Okay, I'll take you on a little journey here. To understand this as a whole, the cats and dogs astral project every time they sleep. Hamsters astral project. All living animals astral project when they sleep. All living animals, including humans, have an afterlife experience when they physically die that it is virtually identical. Animal afterlife experiences are a lot simpler than the human afterlife experience, and this is the afterlife. The early afterlife is it's belief system territory. So what your expectations and your fears and beliefs, whatever your programming is, will manifest around you in the afterlife. So what we are looking at here, astral projection, is a phenomena common to all living things. And it's as a researcher trying to understand this, and an explorer in these fields here, that information came to me several years ago, and it's the only thing that makes sense that this is a natural phenomena. Now, we human beings, given our nature, we overlay onto these things, we put layers and layers of beliefs. Religion comes in here and this, and next minute you've got this whole hierarchical structure where you've got spirit guides and angels and all this sort of stuff there, and there's some purpose and structure and meaning to it all, when in reality, like I discovered when I used to astral project, I mean I still do, is when you get out of your body, you'll find it's a very quiet place. You go looking for this structure, this organization that's supposed to be running this, and there's nothing there. This is a natural phenomena. And I know that, look, when I astral project in real time here, and if I go out of the house into the neighborhood, my pets, my cat and my dog, come with me in their astral forms. I have an astral dog and an astral kitty, and they come with me, just like in real life. If I go for a walk, they would follow me through the forest as I walk in nature. I have personally observed hundreds of dogs and cats while they astral projected, because on the other side of the coin, I meditate a lot. And when I meditate, I gain astral sight, where I can see into the astral dimension around me. And I've often witnessed various cats or dogs that are asleep in the room with me. And I watch them come out of their body. It's like steam builds up around their body, and then this steam form floats up out of the body in the shape of the dog or the cat. And then it takes off and behaves like a cat or a dog. I've also observed a hamster doing that. I've observed horses and various other animals, even birds. Now, as far as I can tell, to extrapolate from, I'm talking about hundreds of observations here. As I said, it makes sense that this is a natural phenomena, because the information I was given that dropped into my head, trying to understand the universe we're living in here, the realization was too simple to be easily grasped. 4 words: I am an animal. In fact, I'm the apex predator on this planet. Human beings can do anything, eat anything on this planet. There's nothing we're afraid of, unless you get caught out in the jungle without a gun or something like that. Or you know, and sharks occasionally. Yeah, I almost ended up being eaten by a shark once, but very big shark. Yeah. 2 miles offshore on my own, catch bag full of bleeding fish around my hip, and a 20-foot great white shows up. Yeah.
Oh.
Yep. I got back to shore by the skin of my teeth. Yeah. Yeah. Kind of soured diving for me after that. It did. It was like, I remember a little digression here. About 2 weeks later, I used to love diving. It was my main, you know, not occupation, but thing I used to do then, is I went down for a dive on my own again, which I know is bad. And I dived out to a big bridge about a mile or two offshore, and I mistimed it, and I was only halfway back when the sun went down and it got dark. So I'm diving in the dark by the rocks, getting back to shore, and then something bumped me on the side and slammed me into the rocks. And I'm thinking, after the shark experience,